Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's good. It's interesting to hear the evolution that we've all gone through, um, and it's sad to see the lack of evolution from a lot of these politicians who are just stuck there with their in their circle doing really creepy stuff. And we're gonna start out by talking about Andrew Cuomo, which I'm sure a lot of the audience members have already heard what happened to him. If not, he had to resign because of sexual abuse allegations. This is we'll get into that, but I want to start out by talking about the reaction that some of the people had to his resignation, and we're also going to point out some hypocrisy here. But here is Mehdi Hasan, who used to be more of an independent kind of journalist, but now he works for MSNBC. He said Cuomo rightfully resigned in disgrace, but you could say it's a Saturday for American democracy because it's a reminder that there are only consequences, there is only accountability for Democrats in our society, not for Republicans. So we'll hear his take, and then we'll give our thoughts on this.
One rather important lesson from today's shock resignation from Andrew Cuomo is the fact that the Democratic Party is still willing to take action against alleged offenders in its midst, unlike, wait for it, the other great political party in this country. I mean, Republicans have been all over the Andrew Cuomo story. And have they looked in the mirror recently? Just take former Missouri Republican Governor Eric Greitens, who resigned in 2018 amidst an ethics probe, 2 criminal charges, reports he had an affair, and allegations of blackmail. He's now running again, this time for the Senate, and is the likely front-runner to replace retiring GOP Senator Roy Blunt. There's Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, who's faced multiple allegations that he had a blind eye to sexual abuse by the Ohio State wrestling team physician, while Jordan was the assistant coach. And yet Republicans continue to stand by him, even choosing him to be their ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. We have even seen this on the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas was confirmed despite Anita Hill's accusation of sexual harassment. So was Brett Kavanaugh more recently after Christine Blasey Ford's accusation of sexual assault. Not a single Republican voted no on Kavanaugh's confirmation. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is currently under investigation by the Department of Justice over whether he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl and paid for her to travel with him. And one of his Republican colleagues, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, has called on him to resign. Gaetz remains in office and on his committees. And then, of course, just look at the former president who led an insurrection, was impeached twice, and has been accused of sexual misconduct by more than 24 women. Republicans as a whole have never tried to hold him accountable for any of that. He remains the de facto leader of the party and their likely presidential candidate in 2024. Now, Donald Trump and all these other Republican men have denied everything and refused to acknowledge the validity of any of the allegations against them. They deny, and continue to have a future in their party. So yes, today is a sad day for the Democratic Party. One of their stars, a man they were considering as a presidential candidate just a year ago, resigned in disgrace. But you could say it's a sadder day for American democracy because it's a reminder that there are only consequences. There is only accountability for Democrats in our system, not for Republicans.
That is not true at all, if you ask me, because what about Joe Biden, who's our president right now? Joe Biden, who Tara Reid has come forward and talked about what her experience, right? And I mean, let's look at this. So this is the lengths that social media takes, right? When some of these people post these kind of things, says this photo will become almost impossible to find over the next couple of months, and says at James Madison. And then it's a whole bunch of numbers. I'm not gonna read all those numbers. But he says, so this person here put up this picture showing how Joe Biden interacts with little girls and with some women when he sniffs their hair. I mean, we know that. He says, What happened? This is the message that he got from Twitter. We locked your account for posting content that violates our child sexual exploitation policy. Regardless of intent, posting, retweeting, or linking to such content is strictly prohibited on Twitter. Repeated violation will result in permanent suspension of your account. It says here, politically inconvenient, not sexual exploitation. And I mean, of course, this still continues. And we see here, this is just a couple days ago on August 5th, Joe Biden, when he was signing the bill awarding Congressional Gold Medal to January 6th officers, a little girl comes up to him, and I mean, just look at how he's interacting with her. I mean,
Christ.
It looks. I would be uncomfortable if I were in her position. I don't know about you guys, but is there? You guys see the hypocrisy here? I mean, I think the Republicans who have these allegations should be investigated, and they should step down if these allegations are true. But let's not act like, oh, it's only the Democrats, when you're not looking at some of those Democrats who are currently in positions of power, like Joe Biden, who has allegations from women, not just Tara Reid. But let me know what you guys think. Whoever wants to jump in first.
So it was really hard to hear Mehdi Hasan say anything, just because all I heard was cut. I mean, get the fuck out of here with that stupid shit, you fucking self-righteous prick. Come on, man. Fucking, I just said, come on, man. But seriously, yeah, Joe Biden, if that was my daughter, Joe Biden's getting a fucking backhand to the fucking face for that shit, dude. Like, nah. You don't get to fucking touch any fucking little girl like that. You don't get to fucking get your fucking smell their fucking hair and shit and get all close up in their neck. That's a fucking intimate fucking reaction, period. And if we're talking about past presidents, Slick fucking Willie is still considered the fucking savior of the fucking planet. The dude that fucking was on the fucking Lolita Express how many fucking times? And dude fucking hung out with fucking Epstein. His fucking, I can't remember, he was in his cabinet, but my former fucking governor, Bill Richardson, who was also fucking heavily involved in the Epstein scandal. Get the fuck out of here with your fucking, it's only Democrats, dude. And furthermore, why are we throwing a fucking fit when some sex pest gets fucking outed as such and then has to fucking pay the consequences of that? Like, everyone needs to fucking pay for that kind of shit, dude. And over 1,000 allegations, and you're fucking saying this is a sad day for the Democratic Party? Aren't you supposed to want to fucking clean up your fucking party? Aren't you supposed to clean up fucking the fucking mess inside of your organization? Get the fuck out of here, you fucking prick. I fucking hate these fucking people and their fucking bullshit outrage meter.
I would say it's a great day if justice is served and he resigns. I wouldn't call it a sad day. I would say, great, this is happy, he's stepping down. So, yeah, what do you guys think, Marcus? And
I wanted to add in the fact that, you hear me okay?
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
We hear you fine.
I wanted to add in the fact, what he literally said in his own commentary. He talked about Trump being impeached twice. Trump was taken off, completely censored, the first president ever basically silenced by taking him off of all these social media platforms. And then you turn around and talk about how, oh, well, it only happens to Democrats. Did you just not see what happened to Trump? And I'm not a Trump supporter. But when you get to the point where you're literally censoring the president of the United States because he's a Republican, it shows the bullshit in what you're saying right there. And then, just like Shadow Man just brought up, dude, are you forgetting about fucking Clinton? Are you serious? Are you fucking forgetting? And then he wants to talk about, oh, well, it's only the Republicans. Well, we could look backwards at what Bill Clinton did while he was in office. But no, just like Shadow Man brought up again, the Lolita Express, this is recent. I mean, and majority of the people who were involved on that fucking Lolita Express were Democrats. Now, is there any consequences that are going to happen to anybody? No, not a single one. And even to the fact of Bill Gates, who was on that fucking plane also, is one of the biggest damn donors to the fucking Democratic Party. And you're gonna sit there and talk about, well, oh, I mean, it's only the Democrats that are getting treated this way. Get the fuck out of here.
Charles?
Yeah. So, complete BS. Where to begin? Like, we've already touched on the Bill Clinton issue and what's happened with Trump. So I'll sum it up like this. Republicans and Democrats will protect their own. Evidence of that is the fact they're not going after Joe Biden on him being handsy with little girls, the Tara Reid allegations. Also, you look at what they're not doing to Bill Clinton. The Democrats only go after someone when it's advantageous for them, and I would argue Republicans would do the exact same thing. When the Me Too movement started getting really powerful, they were happy to throw an old guy like John Conyers or a comedian like Al Franken under the bus just to win a couple of brownie points with some voters, right? But, you know, I think what it's come down to with Cuomo, and let's be clear, Cuomo's going under the bus now after being, you know, shielded from the scandal where he basically was killing old people during the pandemic.
Yeah.
He got protected through that. But I think between that and this, he's just become too toxic. And so they recognize now, okay, you've got too much negativity surrounding you. You're losing your support. People are turning on you. So to save our own ass, now you need to go under that bus as well. They don't do it until it's literally advantageous for them. It's not an issue of what's right or what's wrong. It's just either you're politically advantageous for us and we think we can use you and you want what the donors want, so we'll protect you, or you've become too toxic and now you're going to be a sacrifice for us to still look good. And I think that's what's happened with Cuomo. Even when these allegations came out, again, I like how Mehdi Hasan wants to reference, you know, someone like Kavanaugh. When it was a Kavanaugh allegation, of course, we need to believe the victim right away. But in this case, literally the Democrat state legislature in New York slow walked the hell out of this thing until his own attorney general finally came back and said, yeah, he's pretty much guilty. And then they got around saying, oh, well, I guess since they said he's guilty, now he needs to resign. Like, where were you on that beforehand? They slow walked the hell out of it. So that they never do the right thing unless the right thing aligns with what is the most beneficial for them. And so I don't think you can make this, you know, just and holy and righteous argument the way Mehdi Hasan wants to.
I wanted to add something on to what Charles was saying. I happen to notice that the Tara Reid is easy to ignore because she's an older woman, but it seems like you put a young 20 or 30 something on the media, then everybody all of a sudden feels sorry for her, and then they take it more serious, even though there can be all these other allegations. And if the woman is not, I guess, what did Trump call it? What is it? Hollywood ready or stage ready or something like casting one or something like that. If they're not like that, the media kind of ignores your claim. And so, oh yeah, it was no problem. They let him kill all these kids in nursing. I mean, not kids, but kill all these elderly people in nursing homes. Let all of these things go, but let one pretty white girl let something happen to her. Okay, now, all right, he went a little too far. Now we can pull him out of office. And that wasn't even a guarantee. He probably still could have, you know, weathered the storm on that. But I just find it interesting that that's normally what takes you down.
Well, actually, let me correct that just a little bit. It wasn't one pretty white girl. These were over 1,000 allegations. 1,000. So, yo, the dude is a serial fucking sexual predator. Straight up. Like, and fucking dude wants to say it's a fucking sad day for democracy. Jesus fucking Christ. Fucking punk bitch.
Well, the reason why I said one is because the other ones, they didn't come in front of the camera. And so, you know, unless you get that, you got to have that camera optics to kind of drive that point home. If you're just saying 1,000 random women out there, then people don't take it to heart until you see a victim, and then you start to bond, and you feel like, oh, well, you know, that's like my sister, or that's like my daughter, and then you get compassionate. But when it's just a nameless person, It can be, you know, 1 million, and they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. I mean, I think we should care about every single one, whether you see the person or not. But I'm just talking about the media and how people perceive things.
I think in the case of Cuomo, like you guys all brought up great points, and definitely like they're silent when it comes to certain people, right, within the Democratic Party. But then like if it's a Republican, then they're outspoken. And then that's also true with the Republicans. Like if there's a Democrat that's being alleged of being a sexual predator, they're loud about it. But if it's someone in their own party, they're usually silent. But when the evidence just becomes so overwhelming, a lot of women start stepping forward. It becomes exponential, right? It gives other women the confidence to also step in and tell their story. And then it's just become like the media has no choice but to talk about it. But then these predators in the ruling class, which includes the politicians, it includes the billionaires and stuff, they act like, oh my God, I never knew, even though they were in that same circle. They just treat them like a scapegoat. One case here, you know, is with Harvey Weinstein, who's donating so much money to the Democrats, and they've been to parties with this guy. Jeffrey Epstein, another case. They were all hanging out with that guy, going on his planes, going to his private island. They knew what was going on. But when the evidence just becomes overwhelming, they act like it's just, oh my God, it's just a single case here. I had no idea. Man, yeah, get rid of that guy. Don't look over here. Don't look any further. It's just, you know, it's just that case. Just that guy. So you guys noticed that, right?
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I literally kind of talked about this when I did one of my live streams last week. I said, this is the problem. This is why so many people are leaving the Democrat Party. And it's, you know, for those who can remember, the 2020 primary for the Democrats was an absolute shit show. You had over 20 candidates running, and it wound up coming down to pretty much Biden and Bernie. And we pretty much knew what was going to happen. And a lot of people had concerns on Biden's health. So all of a sudden, this idea started getting floated around that even though 20 people ran, none of those 20 would somehow get the nomination. And because Cuomo did such a great job, let's nominate him, right? And so you start seeing him show up all over these late night talk shows. The comedians are propping him up. The same comedians which now are trying to make the jokes about him getting hit with the door in the ass on the way out, right? It's so ridiculous. And it just goes to show a clear hypocrisy. I mean, people knew, they might not have known to give them benefit of the doubt and play devil's advocate. Let's just say they didn't know how bad the situation was. It was very obvious if you spent any time around the guy. He was very handsy. He even used that as a defense, right? So in the Me Too world, do you really think it's a good idea to be propping up the guy as the standard bearer for the modern time who's going around touching and feeling all over everyone? Like, I mean, they should have known better. It's just a clear hypocrisy. They'll go after anyone like Trump. And again, this is not a defense of Republicans or Trump, but it just shows the hypocrisy. They'll be so quick to bury them. They'll defend a guy like Cuomo all the way up until they realize that it's suicide to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And then they'll finally throw him under the bus. But my question is this, okay? And this goes to Cuomo on this. Again, evidence how they throw a Republican under the bus. Go to the Kavanaugh situation. Cuomo himself said he wanted Brett Kavanaugh to take a lie detector test. So I want to know when Andrew Cuomo plans on taking his. I mean, that sums it up, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what else, Charles? You brought this point up. Like, I think what this also does is like they want to hyper focus on just Cuomo's, you know, sexual allegations, which I think is important. It should be focused on. But what about the old people that he killed in those nursery homes? Where's the focus on that?
And that's going to grab the fucking headlines, bro. That's what's going to grab the headlines. Is the dude gets fucking thrown out on his ass for fucking sexually harassing and inappropriately touching and God knows how many fucking like actual fucking things of rape there's actually going to be that we're not going to hear about come out of 1,000, right? And nobody's going to fucking say jack shit about the fucking about the
nursery homes.
the nursing home scandals.
Yeah, I mean, those are thousands of people that have died, but I mean, they don't want to just look. They don't want to focus too much on the incompetency of our governments, by the states or locally, like the failures that they did in handling the situation. I think the focus is, if there was any incompetency, it was with Donald Trump. But don't worry, you're safe now under Joe Biden and his leadership. They're going to protect us from COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys see it that way too.
That's well, one thing I mean, it blows my mind, this whole that it took for, granted, it took for 1,000 women to come out and accuse you of sexual harassment, but you can kill all the old people you want. Fuck the old, right? Fuck them once they get to the nursing homes. I guess what, they were going to die anyway. So hey, why should we care, right? I mean, that's what it seems like, because nobody gave a shit about this, and it got to the point where even like the New York Times was fucking covering it, and still nobody gave a fuck. And it's like, at what point? I mean, at what point are you derelicting your duty? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if you're derelicting your duty.
Yeah.
Or how you act in your personal behavior or ethics. So I guess, note to the next person, just don't sexually harass or rape or do anything like that. You know what? You can embezzle money. You can sit there and kill old people. You can sign all the dirty contracts you want to, but that obviously that is not going to be enough to force you out of office.
Yeah. This is a great point.
If I could just add one thing to that too, I mean, shame on the Democrat legislature for just letting something like that go too. Maybe this is because for a lot of years I was raised by my grandparents, but I really have a soft spot in my heart for elderly people. I think of when I think of something like that, I think of someone a lot of times like my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran. Lived all the way to the age of 95, passed in 2019. But I think of someone like that. When I see people just basically treat the elderly like, old horses that were ready for the glue factory. So who gives a shit if they die or not? Just send them off to the nursing home. They basically look at them and treat them like you're just a mooch on society. And the only thing you're good for now is to collect, Medicare and draw Social Security every month. You're basically fucking useless, so who gives a shit if you die or not? And I'll be honest, there's few things that really make my blood boil, and that's one of them, just because of the respect I had for people like my grandfather. And, shame on the New York state legislature for playing politics with that and defending him through that, and letting, not to say this shouldn't be enough to kick him out of office, but that should have been too. When they found out he was literally just trying to, be sneaky to look good during COVID or whatever, and falsify these numbers and cause old people to die by being irresponsible, he should have been thrown out on his ass when that came to light. So shame on them. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone who thought they would try to be sneaky and play politics with that situation and defend his ass, as far as I'm concerned, you should be thrown out of office too. That's where I'm.
Not only
he was
thrown out of
receiving
office,
praise.
thrown out of journalism too.
Oh yeah,
fucking journalism too. Like I wanted to add in there. Sorry, I don't want to talk too much, but Charles, what he was talking about the elderly. My grandparents helped raise me and my brother. I mean, most of my upbringing. I mean, after we got like we've been evicted a couple of places, and hard times growing up. But I've had to depend on my grandparents for everything. My father wasn't in the picture, so my grandfather was my father. So yeah, that's why I guess I get a little emotional about it, because that should have been enough, like Charles was saying.
Yeah.
Andrew Cuomo was getting praised during 2020. They were saying, oh, he should run for president, because they were worried about Joe Biden and his incompetency, being all old and everything, forgetting his sentences. Like, oh, Andrew Cuomo. And then when he went on CNN to talk to his brother Chris Cuomo, Chris Cuomo was like, "Are you gonna run for president?" And then he's like, "I'm not gonna answer that. I'm not gonna answer that." There's a whole bunch of people like laughing at those interviews that he would have with his brother, calling him Daddy Cuomo. There were shirts with that. I mean, those people should feel embarrassed for that. Right? It's unbelievable.